Today I'm going to teach you what it means to rack a mead. If you've made homebrew before, you've probably heard the term to rack it into another container, it being the beer, the wine, mead, cider. If you're new to this, you might have heard that and went, racking? What does that even mean? Racking is, in the non-homebrewing world, any one of these things right here.
What?
Oh! In the brewing world, it is the process of moving liquid from one container to another. So there are a couple ways you can do this. You can do it, well, there's really only one way to do it well that doesn't introduce oxygen or minimal oxygen, and that's to use a auto siphon and tubing. So this is an auto siphon. You can buy them online. I'll have some equipment links below if you want to buy yourself an auto siphon. It's basically just creates a suction or a vacuum. So this is the auto siphon portion, and this is the tubing. You connect said auto siphon and tubing. In a moment, we're going to use these to move the liquid out of this brew right here into another one. You can also do this without an auto siphon and tubing if you have kind of brew buckets or things that have a spout. If they have a spout, generally speaking, you can attach a tube to it and it can flow into whatever container. You can also attempt to go from this vessel to another one without a tube, but you're going to introduce oxygen. And the key thing here is we don't want to introduce oxygen into our brew. Oxygen in our brew, especially post-fermentation, can lead to off flavors or oxidizing or just bad things that we don't want. So to do this, you're going to need to elevate your liquid. This is really important. Gravity helps to rack a brew into a new container or to move it into a new container. I'm going to use a bucket, but you can do this without any other extra things. Essentially, you just need to elevate the liquid that needs to be moved like this. You're going to elevate it up so that when we start moving this over into this new container, which I have right here, the gravity will help it flow. And I'll show you why that's important. But first, I'm going to go sanitize this real fast. All right, it's very important to sanitize anything that your brew touches. Bad bacteria can live on stuff, so I've sanitized all this. We're gonna put our auto siphon with the tubing attached into here. Ooh, I'm spilling water. It starts saying water. I'm gonna put the tube in. Now, here's part of my problem. I'm gonna turn this a little bit. This liquid line's pretty high, so I'm gonna have to put this in here a little bit, and then I'm gonna start auto siphoning or pushing this up and down a little bit. So what I'm doing is, I don't know if you can see, I'm trying to get a better angle. I'm just basically pushing this lever down. And I'm trying to not disturb the bottom of this container because that's where all the gunk is, what we're trying to rack off of. So we're gonna keep pushing until we get a flow. We've created a vacuum. Now this vacuum is flowing and it's moving automatically because we're elevated. The elevated surface helps this move downwards. If you do this on an equal plane, it won't flow naturally or very well. So elevate your liquid. I'm gonna go ahead and put my auto siphon down towards the bottom of this container and hope that I don't get any junk. So now we're racking this mead over. Literally just taking this and this auto siphon is flowing. It will keep going all the way till we get to the bottom. Elevating the liquid really helps with this. You could do this from like a tabletop to the floor, whatever you wanna do. But for our example, I'm doing this here. This does take a little bit of time. There are different size auto siphons. The one I'm using right here is a mini 3/8 or 5/8 auto siphon, links below of course. It's for 1 gallon containers. This is a larger one. This is for like a 3 gallon or 5 gallon vessel. So it's bigger, still uses the same tubing type. Make sure you get the right kind of tubing because the size will matter for flowing into things and connecting for that matter. We are getting minimal amounts of oxygen into here because of how this is flowing. If we were just pouring this brew into this right here, it would introduce some oxygen. If we took our vessel we had right here and open the spout up and just put it over the top of this, it's gonna introduce oxygen. So the tubing really helps to keep that from being a problem. You don't need to sit here and keep pumping and pumping and pumping for this to work. And when you do that, it just creates oxygen bubbles because it starts to suck up oxygen and move and flow, and the vacuum kind of unseals. Now this does take some time. As I've been talking, this is taking a little bit, but it's better to do it slow and correctly than fast and wrong. Now one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get to the end of my carboy here. I always do this. I need to tilt this carboy. Now you could go Low tech, no equipment, and just tilt the container over like this. And what this does is it gets the liquid to start to settle on the side. You can get more of the whatever mead, wine, beer, cider that you're making out of the brew. So it's going to keep flowing, as you'll see. Little air bubble there. Then when I get to a certain point, I'm going to stop. When I notice that, hey, I've got a fair amount of sediment or yeast or hops, whatever's down there, and I don't want that, I'm going to go ahead and basically just tilt it back. So we're getting pretty close. I am going to lose a little bit of liquid here because there is some junk at the bottom that I don't want to take. Other high-tech things you can get, this is a door stopper. I often just put my brew up like that with a door stopper, and then that saves me from having to hold it. That also really helps when you're doing stuff with like bigger containers. So we've moved our brew from one container to another. You could have had a bucket going to another bucket, carboy, bucket to carboy, whatever you're doing there. But most importantly, do this with an auto siphon and elevate your liquid. Elevate it up to where it is ready to flow more naturally. Don't sit there and pump it. It just doesn't make sense. So again, don't do this. I'll just get air. Well, actually do it like this. If you sit there and you're trying to flow like this, you're just gonna end up oxygenating and looking kind of silly. You don't need to sit there and do that with your liquid. I'm gonna cut in before I finish this. I forgot to mention two things. Two game changers for racking brews. One of them, well, this is not a game changer, it's necessary, is bottling. This is a bottling wand. What it does is it attaches to your auto siphon. So I've got my tubing and my auto siphon connected again. I literally just attach this to the bottom here. This is also kind of how to bottle, I guess. Then what you do is you connect, you're gonna put this is a different brew, by the way. So I'm gonna put this in here. Going to take my bottling wand, which has a little lever at the bottom, and push it all the way to the bottom of this bottle, and that will allow the liquid to flow. This is where you have to use a little bit of weird, I don't know, magic. You have to pump this auto siphon while pushing down on your bottling wand to get it to flow. Once it's flowing, because we're elevated, all we do is we just keep holding it. And this bottle will continue to fill up until we get to the very top here. Bottling is like my least favorite part of brewing because it takes forever and it's just kind of boring. Turn on Netflix or another mead video maybe to watch something. I'm gonna fill all the way up until basically the liquid line is like at the top of the bottle. And then I'll pull the whole bottling wand out. All right, we're reaching the top. We've reached the top. I'm just gonna pull this out. Now, if you have a lot of headspace still here, what I would do is I would take the bottling wand and just barely push it on the side here and get a little more liquid. You wanna make sure there's enough room for a cork or a cap, of course, but that's how we bottled that. Now, this is the messy part. I'm gonna go ahead and move this out of the way before I make a mess. If you need to get any liquid out of here, you could just put it in a cup, drink it. The bottling wand is really helpful, not totally necessary if you want to bottle with just the auto siphon portion. You have to have this clip on here that you see. This clip right here is super helpful because what you do if you're trying to bottle something is you literally take, as it's flowing, you will, whenever you want to stop the flow, you literally just press this and it clamps it down, keeping any liquid from flowing out. So you can do that from bottle to bottle. All right, I'm flowing. Okay, I need to stop, do that. I want to get it going again, just like that. My last thing that's super helpful that I've adapted way later than I wish I had is filtering out a mead that uses lots of fruit or a brew that uses fruit. Generally, it's hard to do that because your auto siphon will suck up the fruit pulp. So you want to avoid that. I got this is a hop spider, you can see right here. This hop spider, what it does is it's meant for hops, but it's super small filter, basically. And this is nice because you put it in, let's say this mead is, or this brew is full of whatever, plus raspberries, something small. I would put this in first, like that. Put my auto siphon into here. Liquid's gonna seep into the hop spider, and I'm gonna be sucking out the liquid from the hop spider instead of from the whole thing and getting the fruit chunks. So I would auto siphon from this container, from the hop spider portion, into my new container, getting way less fruit, pulp, and matter. So I highly recommend this. I'll include a link in the description, of course. Back to what I was saying. I hope this has helped. I know the term racking is weird. At first you're like, what does it mean by racking a brew? That's what it means at its core. It's super simple. I know I've talked a lot about it, but I hope it makes sense. Get an auto siphon, links below, that will help you. Just avoid pouring your brew into another container because you'll find more issues with that than it's worth. This is like a $10 or $12 purchase that if you don't break, will last you forever. I hope this has helped. This has been a Mead tip, or homebrewing tip rather. Thanks for watching. Check out another video. Cheers.